Hello guys, haha. Welcome to Amakado online training. So in this class we're going to be cutting a skirt. It's a pencil skirt kind of, but I am using a stretchy fabric. That's actually why I'm making this video, because I think I already have a pencil skirt anyway on my. So this is how stretchy my fabric is. So I'm using this so that I'm making this video to show you how I cut my stretchy pencil skirt. So I'll be having my pins around because I wouldn't want it to move at the point. And please, when you're folding, I folded into two, but I'm using the right side, because if I use the wrong side, you're not going to see my chalk marking. I'm just trying to bring out the stuffs I need, my rulers, and of course my scissors as well. So for this skirt, we're going to be taking our waist, our skirt waist this time around, our hips, our hip depth, the length of the skirt you're working with. In my case, I'm working with about 35 inches, 34, thereabout. But please, whatever length you're working with, that's what you're going to be using. So I'm going to mark what I'm working with, which is 35 plus my folding allowance. So let's say I'm using 34 actually. So that's my 35. And I'm going to also add my half an inch. You know, you're going to be, I'm just going to add a facing to this. That's all. There's no zip, there's nothing to it. So don't forget your half an inch at the top, or you add it to your measurement. So if I place it there, that means I'll be coming down to mark my 35. So that's my 35 there. I'll move my tape as well, and I'll mark the same thing. Okay, so after marking that, you're going to be marking your hip depth. So whatever your hip depth is, please mark that. Mine is 9, so I've marked at 9. Don't forget, if you can't calculate your half an inch into your measurement, please mark it out. You know, so I've marked again at 9. Now, because it's a pencil skirt, I'm going to mark at 18 inches. You can come up 4 inches above your knee length and mark. Or rather, I can also mark at 19, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever it is, but please, 18 is just fine, because I just want to give it fitting. So I'm marking at 18. Now, funny, the chalk I'm using, once I put a steam on it, you know, a bit of steam, it will go off. So please, like I said earlier, mark on your wrong side in case your chalk heat takes off my chalk from whatever fabric I'm using it on. That's why I can draw all these things I'm drawing on it, because I'll use low heat and take it off. Okay, so I'm just extending all I have done into a straight line. Okay, so I have my skirt waist, I have my hip depth. I'm sorry you're not seeing that well, but please just follow me. My hip depth, I came down from here 18 inches, and then I came down from here, I came down the full length of the skirt. So from the waist down to this point is your hip depth. From the waist to here is 18 inches, that's above your knee, and from here down here is a full length of the skirt. So now, To put in your horizontal measurements, it now depends on the amount of stretch you have. So you may not really work with what I'm working with if your stretch is too much, you know. So I'm going to take my exact measurement. So for my hip, I'm going to put in whatever my hip is divided by 4, right? So I'll put that in here. And I'm not going to add any allowance. I'm going to be sewing into my allowance. That is going to give me that fitting I'm looking for. Like I said, this is the stretch I have. I really have stretch in mind. But if you don't have as much stretch as I have, you can actually probably add half, and then sew back in 1 inch. Like now, I did my hip measurement divided by 4. That's what I'm supposed to use, and I said I was not going to add any allowances. Rather, I'm going to sew into my measurement. But if you're in doubt of how stretchy your fabric is, add half an inch after your measurement and sew back in 1 inch. Meaning you're going to sew less your body measurement, but not as less as I am doing. The stretch actually determines all that. So for your waist too, you're going to add whatever your waist measurement is. I've added half so that you guys don't. Okay, so I'm adding half as my sewing allowance. But when I'm sewing, I'm going to be sewing at 1 inch. I do more than this. I just take my normal measurement and sewing. But for the purpose of, because you cannot calculate what stretch you have, so please just add half an inch. But when you're sewing, sew at 1 inch. So at the knee point, you're going to take whatever you have here as a whole full length and minus 1.5 from that. So take away 1.5 from it. So I'm going to be reducing 1.5, and whatever you have, you're going to mark it there. That's because you want to make it pencil and you're trying to give it that shape. And you're going to do the same thing at this point. So you can take 1 inch, it's still fine. You can take 1.5, it is still fine. Like I said, it is a whole lot of stretch. So whatever I have here, I'm going to put it down here as well. So if at the down part, you want it to be a bit free than what you're going to have here, you can actually add 1 inch to it. Here we took less, 1.5 out of what we had here. That's what we are taking at the 18 inches point. At the down part of your skirt, you may decide to want it to be a bit freer than here. Here is going to be, you know, cinching, like holding you a bit in. But you want here to just give you a bit of freeness. Since you're not putting a slit to it, you add 1 inch to your measurement. So extend all this now into straight lines. Curve, I'm using my curve for the hip part. Okay. And then you can still use your curve at this point, but I'm okay with my ruler. So my straight ruler rather. So I'll do that, and then you see it's as slanted. So it's giving me a bit of freeness down here. It's not as tight as, that's what I meant. So it all depends on, if you want it tight, just take the same thing all the way down. It's still fine. So at this point, I'm going to take off whatever I feel is an excess, because I don't really want it to give me any puffy look at that point. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm used to doing that. Then at the top here, okay, where my ½ inch is here, I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. I do that. It just gives me that fitting. So I'll take it back to where my ½ inch is here. This is my ½ inch at the top. So I'll slant this. You can use your ruler and stop somewhere that there is. I don't like taking it all the way to the end. So if I'm placing my ruler, I'll just stop way before the end of that place. So sorry, this fabric is not that easy to work with. So after doing that, I'll pin it down. If I don't pin it, it will likely move. So maybe I'm just used to pinning it down. So now we're going to cut. It's a really, really easy skirt to make because there's nothing much to it. So we're going to cut it all out. Okay, so I've actually folded it, and this is my back, so I've placed my front on the back. I'm not going to have a zip, right? But I kept this space to make an explanation. If you notice, this is where the front stops, and I've kept a space here at the back. So maybe I'll just really draw it away so I can just explain what I want to, though I'm not going to do it. Now, if you really want to give bum to your dress, to your skirt rather, and you want the skirt to like stay inside your ass, you know, like, you know, wear it like a gloves, right? At the buttocks, but at your hip point, you know, which is like where your bum is, you're going to come out. Now, in that case, you're going to have a joining at this point. So you're going to be having a joining here to create that bum effect. So at this part, you're going to come in probably, let's say, about half an inch. So I'm going to be using the whole of this. At this part, I'm not going to add anything, but I'll just add half an inch for my joining to join back. That is all. So from here now, I'm going to really, you know, get this into this bum part to create that bum that I want. And then at this point, I'm going to just come out half an inch again, just to join, and bring all this back into that point, and take it the same way all the way down. It's just like you can't see well. If you can see my marking, this fabric is just so multicolored, but maybe I'll still do another video to, you know, create this bum effect. If you see my marking, you see that I have created a bum. So when I wear my skirt, my bum will sit inside this casing that I have created at this point. So that is that bum effect I'm talking about. But if I'm going to do this, like I said, I'm going to have a joining here. That's the only way you can actually achieve that. So you definitely have to have a joining, but I'm not having a zip. If I don't do it, it will still give me that effect, but so probably, maybe I'll just do it, and let's see. So I'll just add my half an inch to join it back actually. So because I've already taken a lot off here, so I don't, if not, I won't have bothered adding anything. I'll just sew into it. So here, like here now, I'm meant to have up to like 2 inches because I'm sewing it at half of an inch at that point. But I have 1.5 is fine, so I have just 1 left. So I've taken it back to half. I'm also taking it all the way to the half down here. So I'll just keep marking my half to make sure that I'm actually cutting at half and extend that all the way down. Okay, so that is it. For this side, I'm going to be cutting the same thing, but for this side, I'm going to be cutting the shape out. So I won't pause. I'll cut so that you see, like, remember that we had come down here 1.5. I haven't cut that out yet. So let me trim this skirt out. So I'm just cutting for this part. Exactly the same thing. Now what I have left here is going to be my facing. I'm not having, there's no band on anything like that. I'm just going to be cutting a facing for it. So here, cutting off exactly as I demonstrated. So just watch what I'm cutting, you'll definitely get it. So here I started slanting my hand back to get my bum effect. Okay. So if you look at that shape, that's what you're going to see. So that is it. So this also gives you, so you can make it bigger if you choose, and that's that. So having done that now, I'll just trim off this, then I'll now cut off the front. But please, when you do this, you now need to really mark where your back is and where your front is, because the back of the skirt and the front of the skirt is actually looking the same. So what I do is to create something to show me that this is my bum, you know. So just create anything. You can use notches, and we're done with the cutting. So for the band, I normally cut out the band, you know, when I'm done joining, but you can just I cut my band normally because this shape, my facing, just normally because the shape will take care of it, you know. So when I'm done joining, I'll measure what I have left, then I'll just cut a straight piece of band, probably by 2.5 inches or 3, because I'm going to weave. I'll weave the down part. So when I sew, I just drop it inside. That's basically it, and hem this. So I'll hem the down part, seal the sides, run this at 1/2 inch, and attach my facing to this, and voila, the skirt is done. So I'll see you in the next class.